So page 174, and let's read the pasuk again at the bottom. Vayivoser Yaakov levado vayovek ishim ha'arolos hashachar. So we mentioned yesterday that this man that he's fighting with is the Sar of Esav, which we all know is the evil inclination. And there's actually an interesting statement in the Gemara. What did the man look like? The man who was fighting with Yaakov Avinu, what did he look like? So there's one opinion in the Gemara that he looked like a Talmid Chacham. There's one opinion he looked like a bandit. It's very interesting, right? One opinion is he looked like a bandit. One opinion he looked like a bandit. The other is opinion he looked like what do you call it? He looked like a Talmid Chacham. So you picture a bandit, picture a guy from a motorcycle gang, right? You picture a thug. The other opinion of the Gemara is he looked like Rabbi Zweig, right? And you wouldn't imagine that it looked like a Zweig, Rabbi Talmid Chacham. He's got a black hat, he's got a beard, and he's got payas. He's wrestling with Yaakov Avinu. What does that mean? What does that mean? Do you hear the statement, Joe? There are two opinions in the Talmud. This man, 174, wrestles with Yaakov Avinu, the archangel of Esav. So one opinion is he looked like a robber. He looked like an outlaw. The other opinion is that he looked like a Talmid Chacham. He looked like a Torah scholar. Esav is compared to a pig because Esav, the pig, is the one. It's a verse based on a pasuk because the pig is the one animal that has the external kosher sign. He has the split hooves, and he even extends his foot. A pig tends to extend his foot outwards, like, look at me, I'm kosher, and inside he's rotten. Right, inside his tray. The Gemara says it's the man himself who looked like both. The Gemara says, what did the man look like? One opinion looked like a Torah scholar, the other opinion looked like talk about the man himself, not Yaakov. We're going to get to Yaakov in a second. So what the commentaries explain, it's an interesting question, a very intriguing question. The commentaries explain that there are two types of Yetzer Hara. There's the Yetzer Hara that looks like a bandit or an outlaw, which means that you obviously know you shouldn't be doing this, and it's just a head-on battle to fight. I know it's not kosher, I know it's inappropriate, I know it's not good, and now it's just me against the Yetzer Hara. Am I going to overcome him or not? The other is where the Yetzer Hara is a little more coy, a little more subtle, and he almost convinces you it's a mitzvah. Not he almost, often he does. At the end of the day, we are able to maintain our wits about us and see through it. But sometimes the Yetzer Hara will convince you, you know what, I think I'm going to go to a bar downtown and see if I could do some kiruv there, see if there's anybody I could interest in Judaism, right? That is a very frum Yetzer Hara, right? That's what we call the frum Yetzer Hara. He's trying to get you to do a mitzvah, but the mitzvah is actually an avera. I think I'll go to a club and get everybody to make a shahakol on their booze, before they drink, So that is what we would call, I'll go to a casino and have everybody give meiser from their winnings. That is what we would call the Talmid Chacham. The Talmid Chacham convinces you that what you're doing is right. I've been asked many times over the years, guys have said to me, should we go downtown and beat up missionaries? Right? What a mitzvah, right? What a mitzvah. The answer is no, you shouldn't go downtown and beat up missionaries because it was really something important to do. So I guarantee you Rabbi Samet would lead the charge if it was something we should be doing, right? And what happens is that becomes much more of a fun activity. It's a lot more fun than Tosfos, right? So sometimes you have, and it's a very subtle, so Yaakov wrestling with him, again, Yaakov represents the Jew fighting the battle against the Yetzer Hara, and he comes in all shapes and sizes. That's number one. Number two, when the guy can't beat him. Now let's see what happens after he can't beat him. It says Vayar kilo yocholot, bottom of the page. This man cannot overcome him. Vayiga bechaf yerevcho. He hits him in the hip socket. Vateka kaf yerech Yaakov behav koimo. His hip socket gets disjointed. And the Torah says we'll see then what that means. Let's see a couple more psukim. Vayomer shalcheni ki ela hashachar. Then the man says, "Send me off. It's morning, daybreak. Morning is broken." Make a song out of it. Send it to Cat Stevens. We'll send them the lyrics. Morning is broken. Right? Time to what do you call it? Time to I gotta go. Vayomer lo hashalecha ki im berachtani. I'm not going to send you off until you bless me. Now, why does the man want to go at daybreak? Why is it that he needs to go? Take a look at Rashi, top Rashi on the page on 176. Ki Allah shachar Morning has come up. V'tzorech ani lomar shira bayom. I have to say my shira. I'm an angel, says shira. I'm an angel. It's my day has come to sing praises of God, which angels do once. They do once in a lifetime. Wow, is that providential? He's wrestling with Yaakov through the night, and all of a sudden, oops, gotta go. Gotta go sing. Gotta say my prayers to God. Right? I mean, this was your day to do it. Right? Just how providential that just this happens to be your day where you got to go do it. Right? So the commentaries explain, sure, when an angel finishes his task, that's when it is his job to go. What was his task was to come and present this challenge to Yaakov Avinu. That was a hold for a few minutes, hopefully, but I want to cover this a little bit. The angel's task is to sing Shira. When he sings his praises to God, then he ceases to exist. He goes into angel heaven, whatever that state is, what the Midrashim describe. No, Midrash describe, they melt into some sort of river of goodness, whatever it is. So the angel is going to go, my task is done. Why? My task was to come and provide this challenge. Now it's time for me to go. Okay, now, when he wrestles with Yaakov, you're going to see what happens over. He hits him in the hip socket. Now, first of all, you'll notice that this fight is not an even fight. The fight's not it. What normally in a wrestling match, what's the goal? You got two people are wrestling. You're trying to throw him down. He's trying to throw him down. Right? What's happening over here? He's trying to throw Yaakov down. All Yaakov is doing is Yaakov's not trying to throw him down. All Yaakov wants to do is stay upright. That's been the fight of Judaism throughout the generations. Leave us alone. Just leave us alone. We've been thrown down. All we want to do is stand upright. We're not trying to throw the rest of the world down. We don't care about the rest of the world. I don't mean we don't care. We'll leave you alone. Go do what you want. You can even worship idols as long as it's not in Israel. Do what you want. It's not our job we become a light to the nations, but we become a light to the nations through our own behavior. By being a light to ourselves, that's how we become. Everybody says, well, aren't you supposed to be a light to the nations? Yeah. Go daven 3 times a day, be a good person, learn some Torah. You'll be enough of a light to the nations. That's how we become a light to the nations. Go do what you want, just leave us alone. That's the battle over here. The battle is uneven. My younger brother and I used to wrestle. So because I was a chicken, I would never wrestle him straight on. So my idea of a fair fight, now how I convinced him, he wasn't a very bright kid, he had to get on his stomach. I would sit on his back and I would pin him to the ground with my knees on his shoulders. That was our starting position. He was on his stomach. I'd be sitting on him, my knees on his shoulders, pinned to the ground, and I'd be wailing away at him. And he had to try to throw me off, which eventually he would do, and then I would quit. Right? I would immediately quit, which at a certain point he said, you can't do that anymore, right? And he got smart enough to realize, then he would chase me down the block because I was a coward. So he made crowing sounds, chicken sounds the entire way, which was true. So here, that's exactly what happened over here. The fight is like, he's trying to throw him down. All Yaakov wants to do is leave me alone. Now, let's go deeper. Where does he hit Yaakov? Hits him in the hip. Why does he hit Yaakov in the hip joint? So we understand that the strength of the Jewish people comes from where? Yaakov Avinu specifically. Where is his strength? Yaakov is the man who sat and learned Torah. Yitzchak said, as long as you're learning Torah, the nations are too weak, they won't be able to overcome you. What does the arch nemesis of the Jew, Esav's the angel, what does he do? What does he want to do? What does he want to accomplish? He wants to stop the Torah learning. Therefore, who does he start with? He starts with Yaakov Avinu. He's the man who learns Torah. He can't destroy Yaakov Avinu. He can't overcome Yaakov. So what does he do? He hits him in the hip joint. What does the hip do for the body?
Helps you sit and learn Torah.
It helps you sit and learn Torah. Good. Ooh, I never thought of that. Good. What else does it do? What does the hip do for the body? It's a support system. It's a support system for the body. You support it on your hips. So what does he do? I can't shut down Torah learning. What I'll do is I'll hit Torah support. That's why people who try to raise money for Torah learning, and why there's so much criticism for people who learn in Kollel, you're a bunch of parasites, you take money from the government, right? Your Kollel people, even though the entire Israeli government is taking money from the American government, as Rabbi Weinbach Zatzal said, the entire country is one big Kollel. Right, because we're supported by American. So we're criticized for taking money for sitting and learning. The entire country takes money they take money by the billions, right? So they're a bigger kollel than we are. And the criticism, and then hold all questions for a few minutes. Where the criticism for the Torah world is that you're what are you doing? What are you contributing? And therefore, when you try to fundraise for Torah learning, it's the hardest thing to fundraise for. People will give money to hospitals, and people give money to special education and special needs, and special this, special that. very difficult for poor people, everything. But to give money to support people to sit and learn Torah, the value of Torah is underappreciated. That's why he hits them in the thigh. So the hip thigh, whatever it is going to become the joint that shows that that's the weakness. Now I want to tell you, just hold all questions. I'll get to the question in a little while. The Gemara says like this. I would tell you, it's a Gemara in Baba Basra. Very interesting piece of Gemara. The Gemara says like this. There was, Rabbi Bar Chana has these stories that he tells in the Agadata, which seem like there's some sort of, just like, almost sound like something, for lack of a better comparison, something out of Sinbad's. He sails the seas and he tells the things that he saw. So he says the following story. I saw a frog the size of the town of Hagrunya. And the town of Hagrunya was 60 houses big. And so he says, I saw this frog. The frog was the size of Hagrunya. And the town of Hagrunya was 60 houses. And then a serpent came along and swallowed up the frog. And then a pushkansa, some sort of bird, like what we would call, I think, a raven. This raven came along and swallowed up the serpent. And then the raven went and flew and perched itself on the branch of a tree. Look how strong that tree is. Says Rav Papa, had I not been there to see it, I wouldn't have believed it. Right? It's a statement of Rav Papa in the Gemara. Okay, so you got a frog the size of 60 houses, and the 60 houses is swallowed, the frog swallowed by a serpent, swallowed by a raven, and then the raven perches itself on a tree. So that's what the Gemara says. I mean, you tell you, that sounds like something out of a, who knows what. That's why people ask all the time, are these Agadatas true? Right? The answer is they're 100% true. They may not be literal, but they're 100% true. It's 100% true. Right? Okay? What the difference between literal and true is that it didn't actually happen, but the message they're trying to communicate is absolutely true. If I tell you the eagle swallowed the bear, it's not literally true, but in yesterday's football game, between the Eagles and the Bears, they not only swallowed them, they chewed them up, regurgitated them, and spit them out. So it's not. You understand? And that's only on something that we could all relate to. So the Gemara is obviously trying to communicate at a deeper level. You get into Kabbalistic ideas and so on and so forth. So the Vilna Gaon explains like this. What's going on here? The Vilna Gaon explains when you think of a frog, there's one characteristic they think of first. What's the first thing you associate with a frog? And the croaking sound of the frog represents the Torah scholar who is non-stop studying Torah. Non-stop. His voice keeps going. In the old days, especially before Torah was written down, much of the time they spent before the Mishnah was written by Rabbi Yehuda was before they put the Mishnah into writing. The oral Torah was then put into writing. Before that point, much of their day was spent in rote memorization, and they just kept going and going. When the Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, no one ever saw him walk 4 amos without his lips moving. He was constantly reviewing because it wasn't written down. So the frog represents the consummate Torah scholar, the ultimate masbid, who's sitting and learning Torah, and the city is 60 houses. Well, there are 60 tractates in Shas. The 60 represents, again, depending on how the Baba Kama, Baba Metzi, and Baba Basra are seen as one tractate, the Babas, what they call the Babas. And there are 60 tractates in all of Shas, and the frog is the consummate Torah scholar who has mastered the entirety of Shas, which means the 60 houses, which means the entirety of Torah. So this frog is then swallowed by a serpent. Now, a serpent always represents what? Evil. The serpent is never a good thing. Nobody ever said, "Oh yeah, my friend the serpent," and I can't wait to meet this guy. That he's a snake. And nobody ever thinks of a snake as a positive description. So he's the serpent is the evil inclination, which swallows up the Torah scholar. In this particular case, according to Vilna Gaon, by convincing him that he's financially not going to make it. So what do you do in order to overcome that evil inclination? He wants to pull him out of the learning world in order to make him pursue money. You swallow him up with a raven. A raven the pushkansa is a bird that the Gemara describes as being so cruel to its children, it doesn't feed its children. The pushkansa gives birth. The children then, their own excrement produces larvae which they eat. And the pushkansa is described as the bird who won't support his children. In other words, we're saying to this Torah scholar, keep it in a proper perspective. Don't worry so much about where the support for your family is going to come. You learn Torah, and then you'll have the pushkansa effect. Your parnasa will be there. What's the symbol? The bird goes and flies out on a tree and perches itself on the branch. What's the tree represent? Eitz chayim hi is a tree of life, lamachazikim, but for those who support it. Those who support Torah, Torah becomes a tree of life for them. So the bird on the branch represents that if you have the right attitude, the right level of trust, you'll be provided with somebody to support you when you learn Torah. That's what the Vilna Gaon says. It says Rav Papa was from Babylonia. And in Babylonia, they did not have that type of strong Torah support. When he came to the land of Israel and saw where Rabbi Baruch Hana was, he saw the support for Torah. He says, had I not seen it, I wouldn't have believed it. Again, the support that they have for Torah. That's what the Vilna Gaon says. Now, I'm not going into what it means to us at what level. That's an individual thing at what level you have to go out and start working and make a parnasa if you're not on the level of Rabbi Baruch Hana and so on and so forth. But that's what the symbolism of the Gemara is. That's what he's trying to do. He hits Yaakov in the thigh to show that we're going to weaken Torah support. That's the best we could do under the circumstance. So he says, give me a blessing. Vayomer lav ma shemecha. What's your name? Vayomer Yaakov. It's not that he didn't know the name. He's asking, okay, your name is Yaakov. Vayomer lo Yaakov Yomer shimcha ki im Yisrael. Your name will no longer be Yaakov, it'll be Yisrael, ki sarisa im elohim v'imanoshi v'tuchol, because you were able to compete with angels and humans, and you were able to hold your own. Okay? Vayishal Yaakov, Vayomer Hagidana Shemecha. Yaakov says, tell me your name. Vayomer Lama Zetishal Lishmi. He says, why do you ask my name? Vayivarchos Osham. What do you ask? What's your name? Why do you ask? Why are you asking my name? And he gives him a bracha over there, and Rashi says later on when God changes his name from Yaakov to Israel, the angel says he'll be there to confirm it. That's what he means by giving him a bracha. Okay, now, so what does that mean when he says to him, what is your name? Why do you ask? Right? So the commentaries point out, again, that you have over here a conversation between yourself and the Yetzer Hara. Right? The first one is like this. The first is that when you ask, when you're involved with the Yetzer Hara, you're involved with the Yetzer Hara. So one of the first things we do is we try to pretend that there isn't, or try to avoid seeing the problem. Right? That means if we would go and we would be willing to investigate the situation, I don't think I should really do this. I was invited for Shabbos to a certain place, and there are going to be all sorts of people there, and all sorts of non-male people there, and then if you'd really start investigating it, you'd realize, I don't think I should be doing this. So what do you do instead? You don't even go in too far. What's your name? Why do you ask? Okay. Don't even investigate. Don't even investigate. Right? I'd rather not ask any questions. Close your eyes and just proceed forward, and then try to avoid Gehenna later on. Right? That's the approach. Right? If I ask, I know that I'm going to find out I really shouldn't be doing this. It's almost like what's your name? Why do you ask? Because I want to know. I told you. Tell me what my name is. What is it? Why do you ask? Right? That is the name of the Yetzer Hara. The name of the Yetzer Hara is, why do you ask? That's his name. So what's your name? Why do you ask? Interesting. That's his name. Like who's on third? What's your name? Why do you ask? Because I want to know. I told you. You told me what my name is. What is it? Why do you ask? And you just go around in circles over there. Why do you ask? Right? That's his name. His name is, why do you ask? Right? Number one. Number two, the commentators say he doesn't have one name. He doesn't have one name. That's why he's saying, why do you ask? What do you want to know for? You think that if I tell you who I am, you'll know how to avoid me? I got news for you. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'd say I decide I'm going home, and I'm going to overcome the Yetzer Hara of anger. Right? There's an Yetzer Hara called get angry. That's a Yetzer Hara. It's an urge. Anger is an urge. It's an urge that must be controlled. I'm going to overcome the Yetzer Hara of anger. Right? So you go into the house, and your wife said, you're not getting angry? And your wife asks you for money. No. That's called the Yetzer Hara of stinginess. Right? So just when you thought you had them licked, and then your wife puts out some apple pie and you take them prisoners. So now you're in the Yetzer Hara of desire. You understand? You're no matter where you go, You think you got them licked, you never got them licked. You never got them licked. You know, and I've overcome the Yetzer Hara of drinking, right? Then something else comes along. Well, you know, oh, I forgot about that Yetzer Hara. There's always something. There's always something lurking. So they say, what are you asking my name for? In other words, why would you ask his name? What's your name? Who is it that I've just defeated? Who did I just conquer? You think you conquered me? Watch this. Watch me make mincemeat out of you, right? So he shifts. It's like a guy said, hey, I didn't get angry. I did not get angry. Me and the Chavetz Chaim, right? Okay, so now you've been caught up in the Yetzer Hara of pride. He just trapped you. He just trapped you. He says, Lama Zati Shalashvi, knowing my name is going to help you. You finished one. You got another one. There's always one lurking until they take you out horizontal. There's a battle with the Yetzer Hara. That's the way it works. Until the day a person dies. And even on the deathbed, there are people who are thinking of, what'll they say about me after I'm gone? Right? After you're gone, the people are going to say, why couldn't you go earlier so we could have gotten the money sooner? Yeah, that's what people are really going to say. Okay, but we won't tell you that. But the Yetzer Hara, what we really want, the guy, they'll say nice. If I'm noble on my deathbed, then they'll really kick it up at the eulogy, right? So there's never a chance, or you're never going to get out of it. Okay. Now, one second. Let's go on. Skip down to Vayikra Yaakov Shem Makom Peniel Karisa Elkim Panim Panim V'Tzatzal Nafshi. Vayizrach lo Hashemesh kasher over Espenuel, the sun shone, v'hut solea al yirecho, he was limping on his thigh. Yaakov was limping, like Harry says, he took a good shot to the hip. Right? And the commentaries point out that's what happens. If, first of all, Jews through exile will never have a, what does it mean if you're limping versus walking solid? So we're never going to walk on solid ground. In exile, we're never going to have solid ground. So walking well, balanced, symbolic of this is our land, this is our ground, we're walking solid. Limping means you'll never have ground to call your own. You're always going to be limping along. You're very uncertain wherever it is that you are because you'll be chased out and you're going to have to go live somewhere else. No matter where you are, Jews are always going to be chased from one country, they'll be chased out of England, chased out of France, chased out of Portugal, Jews are always chased out. So just when you think that it's solid, you're on solid landmass, boom, you got to go somewhere else. That's the limp, number one. Number two, the commentaries say, if you come into close contact with Esav ideology, Esav education, Esav values, if you make contact, you get involved with Esav, one way or another, you're going to walk away spiritually limping. You're not going to walk away the same person. If you put yourself in a situation where you're prone to Esavonian influence, you are going to walk away limping. One way or another, you will not escape unscathed. That's what the commentaries say. Now, from all of this, we come up with the halacha. And this is the third mitzvah in the book of Bereshis. It's the only, remember, in the entire book of Bereshis, there are only 3 commands out of 613. And the third one is right now. But you have to see this inside. I'm going to show you something, gentlemen, that's going to knock your socks off. Al Kain, that's symbolic, not literal. That's the difference. Okay, I'm not going to knock anybody's socks off, right? Especially if they're white. Al Kain, lo yochlu b'nei Yisrael es gid anosha shokaf hayerach hariyom hazeh. Therefore, the b'nei Yisrael do not eat the gid anosha. Ki noga bekaf yerach Yaakov begid anosha, because he touched Yaakov in his hip joint to this day. So here the Torah says that this is the prohibition, one of the 613 mitzvahs. We are not allowed to eat the gid anosha. The gid anosha is the sciatic nerve that runs down the hindquarters of an animal, and we are not allowed to eat. The sciatic nerve is tasteless. It is odorless. It is tasteless, but we are not allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to have any of the gid anosha. There's what's that cut of meat that it appears in? Is it sirloin? I think it's sirloin, and therefore in most kosher meat establishments they don't even bother with it. In most kosher meat establishments, they simply cut away the hindquarters and give it. Wait, just one second. Right? In most kosher meat establishments, they cut away the hindquarters. They sell it to the non-kosher establishments because, in order to get the gid anosha out, the gid anosha it kind of branches in. In other words, you got one long tendon, and then with branches off with little sub branches, and it takes skilled. It's a training in order to remove the gid anosha. It takes special training. And the Jewish butcheries and slaughterhouses found that it's not cost efficient. It's not worth paying somebody to do it. They just cut away. There are places where you could get a sirloin, there are establishments where you can do it, and it's perfectly kosher. You're allowed to eat. You are allowed to do it. There's just as efficiency, because of financial efficiency, they don't do it. So that's what so we don't eat the gida nasha. Okay, that's what the Torah says. Now, I want you to look very carefully at the words. Okay, I want you to see. You have to see the words inside. Everybody, look pasuk lamed gimel. So it says al kain lo yochlu b'nei Yisrael. So the Jewish people don't eat. Now, gentlemen, there's how many days a year that we don't eat? How many fast days are there in the year? 10. Boy, Ronnie, you're a machmir. No, there aren't 10. He's one of them southern hanging judges. No. You didn't wash it until us yadayim, chayiv skila. No, not so fast. Right? There are 6 days a year, 6 fast days. What are they? Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, 17th of Tammuz, 10th of Teves, Tzom Gedalia, and Tainus Esther. Good. So I mentioned that's the second one on the list. Yom Kippur, Tisha B'Av, that's the 9th of Av. And so you have 6 fast days. Now watch. Look at the pasuk again, very carefully, gentlemen. If I could show you those days in this pasuk, will you be impressed? Yeah. Will you go, psh? Okay, but it's got to be loud. It's got to be loud, okay? Watch this. Al kain lo yochlu b'nei Israel, therefore the b'nei Israel don't eat. So we're talking about when we don't eat, right? S stands for 2 things. Tisha of, the 9th of Av, right? S stands for the 9th of Av, and obviously it also stands for Tainus Esther, the fast of Esther, right? S, you see where it is, Gabriel? You say, please show him where it is. Pasuk lamed gimel. Al kain lo yochlu b'nei Israel. S, Aleph Taf, stands for 2 things. Aleph Taf stands for Tisha, the 9th of, and Tanis Esther, the fast of Esther. Okay, first of all. Gimel obviously stands for Gedalia. Yud is obviously what? Yom Kippur. And Gimel, Yud, Dalid together equals 17, which is the 17th of Tammuz. Okay? No. There we go. Oh, shucks. Oh, shucks. Right. There you have, and obviously the Yud stands for Yom Kippur. Right? So there you have right after, what's impressive about it is right after the words, Al kain lo yochlu. They don't eat. When don't you eat? And there it's alluded to, right in the next 2 words. Es gid, hanoshe stands for, rearrange the letters, Hashana of the year. These are the days of the year when the Jewish people don't eat. Okay, so that's an allusion. That's what the Torah alluded to. Okay, now, let's go on. Pasuk lamed gimel. Did we finish this? Did we exhaust this? One last point. Look at the page 176 at the top. What the angel says, a very important point. When the angel says, Vayomer shalacheni ki olah hashachar. Send me off because it's morning. Okay, so obviously Rashi says, well, he's got to go sing his shira, he's got to go sing something. Okay, the commentaries see much more in this. There's much more. You see, what is the evil inclination? Ultimately, what is the evil inclination? He doesn't want you to wake up, that's for sure. He's there in the morning. He gets up at Nate's, that's for sure. The evil inclination, no matter what time you get up, he's there right by your bed telling you. And it says this in Shulchan, it says, in the winter, he says, listen, it's nice and comfortable under there, just stay down. In summer, he says, you haven't slept enough. Yeah, that's for sure. He's definitely, he's up at Nate's, that's for sure. That's for sure. I heard Rabbi Yitzchak Hutner was once, when he was in yeshiva, he was learning alone. And so the Rosh Yeshiva came over to him and said, why don't you have a chavrusa? He said, I do. So okay, wise guy, who's your chavrusa? He said, the Yetzer Hara. So what do you mean? He says, listen, if I'm learning the Yetzer Hara, obviously it's trying to stop me. And I said, I'm learning with the Yetzer Hara over here. Right? He's there. Whenever you want to do something good, he's there. So the idea is like this. The Yetzer Hara is ultimately falsehood. It is all falsehood. Did I mention to you the Gemara that says they're going to, did we once speak about the future where the Yetzer Hara is going to be slaughtered in the future? In the future, the Yetzer Hara, the Gemara in Sukkah says the Yetzer Hara is going to be slaughtered. What's going to happen to the Yetzer Hara? It's going to be slaughtered in the future, and everybody's going to stand around and cry. Sound familiar? The tzaddikim are going to cry and the rishonim are going to cry. Do you ever hear this? Does it sound familiar? Yeah. Okay, they're all going to cry. The tzaddikim are going to cry. They're going to say, "How did we overcome this incredible mountain?" The Yetzer Hara is a massive mountain. How do we overcome it? The Rishonim are going to cry. They're going to say, how did we keep tripping on this thin strand of hair? So the commentaries ask the obvious question, well, make up your mind. Which is it? There's a mountain, there's a thin strand of hair. How can two people see two different things? The answer is that in every life experience, there are two stages. There's the imagination stage, and then there's the experience stage. The imagination stage always cracks things up, makes it better than it actually is. In the imagination, it's going to be wonderful. It's going to be magnificent. Any experience that you have in life, how good it's going to be at that restaurant, and you get there. I mean, it's good, it's okay, but it wasn't the be all and end all. A vacation, people go traveling. It's going to be unbelievable till you go. Right? A comedian once said, "Going there is much better than getting there." Right? And I even heard once about a couple that plans vacations for months. They plan, they get brochures, lodges, accommodation. They plan everything out, but they never go because they don't want to ruin it. Right? Because when most things in life, the anticipation is far greater than the actual experience. What's a tzaddik? A tzaddik is somebody who doesn't give in, or most of the time he doesn't give in. So a tzaddik's walking on the street and he hears female footsteps. And he doesn't look. And he walks away thinking to himself, wow, I just sacrificed a mountain of pleasure. There's a mountain of pleasure. And he walks away and he never knows that it wasn't. The Rasha, he looks. And even if it's good, I mean, it's good, but it wasn't it's not, it's good, but it wasn't what. So, again, I tripped on, for that, another thin strand of hair. The tzaddik drives past, a treif steakhouse. Oh boy, I'm off to have some yeshiva lunch, and I could be in a non-kosher steakhouse. Oh boy, right? And he sacrificed a mountain of pleasure. The Rasha goes in, and he eats it. It's okay, it's good. It's not like, whoa, it's not like the be-all and end-all. Every life experience like that, which means ultimately the Inclination is he's deceiving you. He's all falsehood. So what does he have to get away? He fights with you all night. As long as he keeps you in the dark, he can deceive you. At daybreak, the light of truth comes up. And in light of truth is his green kryptonite. He can't afford to be seen in the light. It's like a guy turning on a flashlight in a movie theater. It just ruins everything. It's how you feel when the lights go on in a theater at the end of a movie. You're on this movie and you're just watching it. Everything is like, and you're completely captured by what's happening. So when the movie ends, the lights go on. It's like, oof, it just like you get back to the world of reality. The whole thing was false. The whole thing was false, right? So it comes along the angel. He says, I'm the Yetzer Hara. I can't afford to be caught in the light. It's the light of truth. And that's ultimately, if you could activate the light of truth, then you'll see the Yetzer Hara, what he's for. So while you're in the trenches, while you're fighting the good fight, it's a mountain. It's a mountain of pain to overcome the Yetzer Hara. It's a mountain of pain. But if you can manage to get past that, you see through it. The whole thing's an illusion. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And even if it is, I just had a cab driver tell me last night. Cab driver was a security guard at one point. An Israeli guy was a security guard for a Knesset member. This Knesset member, he had lots of money, most of which was illegal. And then a couple of years ago, he died. So I was talking to a cab driver. We were talking about how much money this guy purloined. And at a certain point, the cab driver said, yeah, but what good is it? At the end, now he's gone anyway. He's gone. So he doesn't have it anymore. Now he's gone. He's without it. Which is ultimately, that's the reality. The reality is it's there. Okay, it's fun. It's good. It's whatever. But ultimately, it's going to be gone one day. So how much is it really worth? The whole thing's an illusion. The whole thing is false. Therefore, he has to avoid the light. There's a Gemara that says that in the future, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring out the sun. When God brings out the sun, the tzaddikim are going to be cured by the sun, and the Rishonim are going to be burnt by the sun. Now, again, the same question. I mean, why? They're using suntan lotion and they're not. I mean, why? They're going to be cured. They're going to be burnt. The answer is, the Stipler says, the light of the future is going to be the light of truth. Tzaddikim are always walking around concerned they're coming up short in their service of God. The Rabbi Zweigs and Rabbi Sametz of the world are always, I guarantee you, they're not walking around thinking, oh, I'm so good. They're walking thinking about, how could I improve? And they feel they're coming up short in their avodas Hashem. The Rishayim, who once in a while for a photo op put on a yarmulke or go to the kotel, do something to put on, or they give some tzedakah because accidentally they had some extra change in their pocket. Does anybody know what a righteous man I am? And in And then the light of truth comes out in the future. So what's going to happen? The tzaddikim are going to say, you know what, you're a lot better than you thought. You thought you were coming up short. The light of truth is going to come and it's going to show you you're good. You were better than you thought you were. You're being too harsh on yourself. In the Russia, you were being too kind on yourself. You're going to be burnt in it. You thought you're putting on a show, convincing everybody how righteous you are. Now we're going to see you for the rat that you are. That's the light of truth. And therefore, in the future, the sun comes out. That's how two people could be affected differently. All right. See you tomorrow.